So what if the entire AI revolution is heading down the wrong path? And what if that warning is coming from one of its own architects? We're talking about Yann Lecun, Meta's chief AI scientist. He's a giant in the field, and his argument could literally change everything we think we know. The real question is, what does he see that so many others are missing? And he is not being subtle about it. Just imagine this for a second. You're at a huge AI conference in 2024, and one of the literal godfathers of deep learning gets up and tells a room full of the brightest young minds to completely avoid the hottest, most funded area in the entire field. I mean, that's not just some casual advice, right? That is a direct challenge to the entire industry.
So this is the big mystery we're going to unpack today. Why on earth would a guy who won the Turing Award, which is basically the Nobel Prize for computing, for his foundational work, why would he be calling the current AI boom a dead end? To figure that out, we really have to get inside his argument and understand the fundamental flaws he sees in the systems we're all so excited about.
What makes this whole thing so fascinating is the paradox at the center of it. See, Yann Lecun is not some outsider throwing stones. He is Meta's chief AI scientist. His own team built Llama, one of the most important large language models out there. So this isn't a critique from the sidelines, this is a warning coming from inside the engine room.
His core argument, when you boil it all down, is actually pretty simple, but it's incredibly profound. He says that our current obsession with just making LLMs bigger and bigger is an off-ramp. It's like a scenic detour that's impressive for sure, but it will never ever get us to the final destination, true human-level artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Okay, so why is he so convinced it's just a detour? Well, Lecun's critique really comes down to what he sees as 4 huge, unfixable flaws that are just baked into the design of large language models. Let's break them down one by one. And here they are. You can think of these as the 4 big reasons he's waving the red flag. First, they lack grounding in reality. Second, they have no persistent memory. Third, they can't perform true reasoning. And finally, they have no real ability to plan. He argues that if you're missing these 4 things, you just can't get to genuine intelligence. So let's start with grounding. This one's a biggie. An LLM can be trained on literally every book ever written, every scrap of text on the internet. But at the end of the day, that is all just text. It has zero sensory experience of the actual physical world. It doesn't know what rain feels like or what happens when you drop a glass. It only knows the words that describe those things. And he uses this quote to just brilliantly illustrate the problem. It's this wild paradox, right? We have AI that can pass the bar exam, an incredibly complex symbolic task, but we don't have a single robot that can reliably clear our dinner table, let alone navigate the world with the physical grace and intelligence of a common house cat. A cat just gets physics and 3D space in a way that our most powerful AIs simply do not. All right, next up, memory and reasoning. When you're talking to a chatbot, it's not actually learning from your conversation in a permanent way. It's working within a short-term memory bubble, a context window. After that, it's gone. They're just incredibly sophisticated pattern matchers. They're making fantastically educated guesses about what word should come next, but they aren't truly thinking a problem through from first principles. And the final flaw Lecun points to is planning. He uses a really simple example. If you tell yourself, I need to be in Paris tomorrow, your brain instantly starts planning. It breaks that big goal down into smaller steps. Book a flight, pack a suitcase, get a ride to the airport. LLMs just can't do that. They can't set an abstract goal and then map out the concrete steps to achieve it. All they can do is generate the next word. Okay, so Lecun isn't just pointing out problems. He's got a solution. And this is where his vision gets really exciting. He calls it building a world model. So what on earth is a world model? Well, the whole idea is inspired by how our own brains seem to work. It's an AI that builds its own internal simulation of reality. It learns intuitive physics, kind of like how a baby learns that if you let go of a toy, it's going to fall. This internal model lets the AI run what-if scenarios in its head, so it can predict what might happen next and plan its actions. So an AI based on a world model would learn in a totally different way. First, it would just watch the world, mostly through video, not text. From that observation, it builds its internal understanding of how things work. Then it can use that model to predict the future. If I do this, then that will happen. And finally, it can use those predictions to actually plan out a sequence of actions to get something done. It's a much more active and honestly a much more intelligent approach.
And this, right here, brings us to the fundamental clash at the heart of this whole debate. It is a battle between two completely different goals for AI: predicting the next word versus predicting the future of the world itself.
This slide really puts it all in perspective. On one side, you have large language models. Their entire job, their whole reason for being, is to predict the next word in a sentence. It's a text-in, text-out system. But on the other side, you have this world model AI. Its goal is so much bigger, so much more ambitious, to predict the next state of the world based on what it does. One is a master of language, the other wants to be a master of reality.
And if we break that down even more, the differences are pretty stark. The core task for an LLM is text generation, using only text as data. Their superpower? Amazing language fluency. But their Achilles heel? They're not connected to the real world. World models are all about achieving goals using rich multimodal data like video. Their key ability is common sense physics. The big challenge, of course, is that building them is incredibly difficult and expensive. But for Lecun, it is the only way forward.
So what does this all mean for the future? Well, in Lecun's vision, language doesn't just go away. It's still incredibly important, but its role changes completely. It's no longer the star of the show.
He uses this incredible analogy to the human brain. He says, the real core of intelligence, the engine, is going to be that world model, the part that can reason and plan. The language part, the LLM, will just be a specialized module, kind of like Broca's area in our brains, which is just responsible for turning our complex, abstract thoughts into spoken words. Language becomes the user interface, not the central processor.
And that leaves us with this one, final, kind of mind-blowing thought, and it comes straight from Lecun's own predictions. He's actually suggested that, if this world model approach works, the LLM-focused systems that we're all so amazed by today could be a historical footnote in as little as 5 years. It's an incredible claim, and it forces us all to ask a really tough question. Are we just perfecting a technology that's about to become obsolete,